Hello, everybody, and welcome to middle school Bible study. I'm here with my two co-hosts, Felonious Ferris and Demigloom. I'm very happy to be here on this podcast.
And what are your pronouns, Kathy?
I'm she, her.
And my pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Demigloom, and my pronouns are she, her. Yeah. We have another person with us. This is definitely the first time anyone has hopped in a recording chat and recorded an episode with us whose name isn't Demigloom and Felonious Ferris. Mm-hmm. I did not record an episode with Zane that never came out because of audio quality issues, and we do not have 2 unreleased episodes with Squeebo the Last. That is misinformation. It didn't happen. It's not true, okay? And jet fuel can melt steel beams. I've seen it.
I feel like there's hidden lore here. I don't know why.
You feel like maybe I'm vaguely alluding to something that definitely did happen by denying it?
No, I don't. Actually,
okay.
Now that you mention it. So...
we have comments and voicemails first before we get into anything. So, you guys want to do comments or voicemails first?
I think we should do comments first, for no particular reason.
All right, cool. So we actually got a couple comments on the queer fetishization episode that we never got to read. So we're gonna go back and read those. So we have a new comment from the Canadian Kiwi Burb 4512. They say, masculinity sucks. Hit the gritty if you hate masculinity. I have nothing...
I disagree.
I have nothing against masculinity, personally.
In fact, I actually really like masculinity. I think it's very...
I think that when masculinity means you creepily obsess over minorities in a sexual manner, I think that's kind of fucked up. But I don't think that that's what masculinity means.
Yeah, I don't think that's like what I don't think that's what the majority of men think that masculinity would classify as.
Masculinity is homosexuality.
I'm gonna write a video essay about that.
Think about it. Like, liking women is gay. You're allowing yourself to be corrupted by femininity.
So true. So true.
What is more masculine than men not needing women? And, being with each other. Surrounding themselves only with their own kind. Not succumbing to the desires of a weak, pathetic little girl.
I disagree with your dissertation.
Nah, I'm kidding. I have nothing. I'm not heterophobic as I come off to be. I have nothing against heterosexual people. But yeah. Pepito comments, there's no difference between finding attractive and fetish. I think that's the entire point of the episode, was that there was a difference. Fetishization entails a reduction of a person to a set of characteristics that you find sexually attractive, and finding attractive is just finding someone attractive. Does not necessarily reduce their humanity.
There's very clearly a difference. Like people find me attractive, but they don't weirdly obsess over me. Those people are like fine.
They don't weirdly obsess over interchangeable characteristics. Mm-hmm. Things that, yeah. But yeah, Pepito, honestly, kind of having a lot of bad takes lately. Pepito, after saying, there's no difference between finding attractive and fetish, they also say, I don't have any fetishes. So one can only interpret this as them coming out as asexual.
Congratulations!
So, Pepito, we're very happy for you. And you've graduated from the A in the LGBTQIA to the A in the LGBTQIA. Because we can't decide what that stands for.
It stands for multiple things.
I think it stands for asexual, or ace.
It stands for...
Arrow.
It can also stand for, like, agender. And ace and arrow.
Yeah, fuck allies. Fuck allies.
wrong with
allies. We
allies?
love
I hate
you.
them. No, we don't want
We love
allies.
you.
We want to cannibalize our movement and lose as much as possible. I thought that was the goal.
Yeah, why do you think I'm here?
Yeah, exactly. I think we're going to cut our fan base in half by even flirting with the idea of having someone anywhere close to Kathy in opinions on this podcast. So, whatever. Spice Chai says 39.25. I don't know what happened at 39.25, and I'm not going to find out right now, although I will later. They say, on the topic of true crime fetishization, is it evil of me to find Tetsuya Yamagami, the guy who killed how do you pronounce his name? Shinzo Abe, incredibly attractive despite not really knowing what he looks like?
He's so based. He's so based.
Is he though?
Yes. Killing fascists is based.
Personally, I don't think killing people is a good thing.
Okay, Kathy.
Shut up. Shut up, moral Christian.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. You're right. Political violence is wrong, you guys. I'm just saying I don't blame him at all, and I secretly admire him a little bit.
All right, let's not get banned tonight. Spice Chai also says, holy shit, I love this episode. I like this much better than the neo-pronouns quote-unquote debate, where I had to watch two of my favorite people bicker. As they say, divorce leads children to the worst place. Anyways, this episode had so many great takes, great jokes, and it's sad to see it underperforming. Anyways, super duper uber a fan of this episode. Keep it up, y'all. I think I need to just keep taking notes for episodes, because it seems like every episode where I take notes, it turns out way better than the rest of them. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of schoolwork, and I'm currently moving out, so I don't have a whole lot of time to prepare for podcasts, but I will keep that in mind moving forward. Flaming Feet says, good luck in school, Demigloom. I think we already read that. Apparently Flaming Feet is a friend of Insight Zoidberg's. So yeah, that's probably where they found us. Non-binary people. Comments on that episode. Gurcat790 says, you know it's a good day when you guys post a new episode. Keep it up. I love this show. Y'all cover topics that the lamestream media wouldn't dare. True. Such as non-binary people. Mm-hmm. Non-binary people have never, ever, ever gotten good or bad publicity from the mainstream media. Never.
None.
So true.
Pacific Grant 8152 says, I'm making you read this for your own good, Demi. I have come to accept that God sent his only son, Jesus Christ, to earth so he could die for us and cleanse us of our sins. He was crucified and rose from the dead in 3 days. He sits at the right hand of the Father. I look forward to the resurrection of the dead and the return of Jesus. Amen. If Jesus comes back, he's welcome to defend himself on the show. He can come on Middle School GSA.
You know, unironically, Jesus was pretty based.
Jesus was a communist.
I just don't think he was the son of God. That's the thing. That's the catch.
Yeah, for sure.
He was, though.
Well, we can get into that in a minute. Shannon HW KBR commented, scared emoji. Mind blown emoji. I'm glad our podcast gets this sort of reaction from people. Insight Zoidberg says, holy effing S, Demi. Your mic clipped so effing much in the intro. What the F? Bye, what's your problem? I don't know what that is.
Tired of boring old books from school that are just super boring and you just don't like them and you don't read them and so on and so forth? Well, now introducing What's Your Problem by Johan Birch. What's Your Problem is quite the humorous tale following Sam, a man who's wife and newborn child left him. Whoops. Follow Sam as he's left with the aftermath of this whole situation as he tries to rediscover who he is as a person. Meet his wacky friends along the way like Earl and Elena. Watch him get into kerfuffles such as drinking a lot, going to the park, drinking a lot. There's a lot of alcohol in the book. But it's awesome and cool, and you should read it right now. Link in the description to buy it on Amazon. You can either get it in paperback or on a Kindle ebook. What's your problem? The 10 out of 10 book, that's not actually, I'd never heard someone call it a 10 out of 10, but trust me, it's good. Buy it, please. It gives me money.
By the way, Flaming Feet is based. He's been watching my videos for years. So yeah, Flaming Feet is an Insight Zoidberg fan that somehow migrated to Demigloom and then to MSGSA. Or I don't know, maybe there's a more direct pipeline. Who knows? But yeah, those were the comments. And we
love you all. I'm so glad you're all here.
Yeah, we've got a lot of new faces. I'm very glad. Very glad that more people are commenting. Seems like a lot of people are listening and not commenting. So if you're one of those people,
fuck you. We hate you.
Yeah, we hate you. No, we love you. Please just literally just comment like hi or like enjoyed this episode. It helps us in the algorithm. I say that as if we're ever going to hit the algorithm. But it does help the show. And it's fun.
And it makes
we get
me
to
happy.
Know. It makes us very happy. But yeah, we do have a voicemail from this guy. His name is like jELeeoo. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's spelled Riely. It's definitely not Riley, because Riley is Riley or like Ryle. So I don't know. But I guess we can play his voicemail and see what he had to say.
Hey Demigloom, hey Felonious Ferris, it's me. I'm calling in again. I'm catching up. Right at the beginning of the neo-pronouns episode now. I'm very excited for this one.
No.
But the beginning really struck a chord with me. Demigloom, you fucking snake, you cheeky little fucker. Your string of co-host abuse has to be stopped, okay? You do this shit to me all the time, too, back when we were doing On This Radio. The fucking, oh, it's your turn to do the intro. You can't do that to people. I've become hyper aware to it. Whenever you say that sentence to me, it is met with immediate skepticism no matter what. But you're victimizing poor Felonious Ferris, who doesn't know your games, doesn't know your little tricks, your little snake in the grass strategies. This is fucking bullshit. Felonious Ferris, blink twice if you need help.
Good thing I'm not allowing Felonious Ferris to turn their camera on. Wouldn't that be funny if you're just like somebody I kidnapped and forced to do a podcast with me?
That would be really funny.
Yeah, that would be so funny if that hypothetically happened.
Uh-huh.
I'm starting to sound like I actually kidnapped somebody. That didn't happen. I feel like once you make a comment like that, there's like nothing you can do. Because no matter what, it's going to like somehow trail back to some perceived sincerity. So Felonious Ferris is not kidnapped.
Please help me. I'm trapped in the basement of 1848 Rutabaga Street, New York. Please help me.
Nah, that's not true. This podcast is located at 749 Boardfish Road, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. If you want to come on the show, show up there. But we do have one more voicemail. Ladies and gentlemen, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, I'm trying to be inclusive with my language, but can't think of a snappy thing. This one is from our owner, actually. Let's see what our boss has to say.
Hey guys, it's your owner, just here to owner of the show, producer of the show, and I'm just trying to make sure everything's going good with production. I've heard there's been a few hurdles, but come on, team, we got this. So, go out there, talk about your topics, and take us the big bucks. I know you guys got it, all right? And just remember, the weekly company retreat is weekly. I'm such a goofball. Monthly company retreat is happening this March 31st. Now, I know we had to delay it by like almost half a year, but listen, we really just can't afford one right now with our budget. So, get your work done and maybe I can move it up, maybe do your job better. But yeah, just management checking in on you guys, making sure everything's going good. If you're good enough, I'll buy you ice cream sandwiches. It'll be great. Anyways, that's all from me, team. Great work, guys. Keep it up. All right, I'll see you guys later. I love you.
He's so cool.
I love how he talks to us like we're car salesmen or something. Like, it's pretty silly. Pretty silly guy. This he who must not be named.
Have you heard of Johan Birch?
I have never heard of Johan Birch. I don't know what's your problem is. I do not own a copy of that novel.
What?
I'm not holding a copy of that novel in my hand right now as we speak.
It may or may not be a book that the guy on the phone just wrote.
The listeners do not hear me flipping through the pages through my microphone right now. Did you not hear that?
You should not go on Amazon and pick up a copy of it.
Yeah, you should definitely not do that. Yeah, nobody's going to know what that means. Do we want to talk a little bit about how we're doing before we hop into the topic, whatever that may be?
I have COVID.
I feel like we skipped that, yeah. Felonious Ferris has COVID, apparently.
I'm at the point where I'm theoretically going to no longer be contagious in a couple of days, but I do sound awful and I'm still coughing. So, sorry.
Have you been at home all week?
Yes, I missed the first 2 days of class.
That sucks.
It does suck.
I enjoyed the first 2 days of class, and by that I mean on my first day, I got on the wrong bus.
Oh no.
I got on the right bus, but the bus heading in the wrong direction, meaning it was the furthest. I got on the bus the furthest possible distance from where I needed to go. It went around the entire town, and like 3 hours later, it drove past the stop that I got on, and then to the school. So I missed my first 2 classes that had mandatory attendance. I'm already falling behind. But other than that, man, school's pretty cool. I haven't made any friends yet. I don't know if I'm going to anytime soon, but I'm going to try. I'm going to use I think I'm going to use the Snapchat college thing and try to get together some like-minded individuals. So wish me luck in that.
Snapchat college thing?
Yeah, you don't know about the college Snapchat?
No.
If you add your school email to your Snapchat, there's like a shared story.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I have to re-download Snapchat now.
I went on the story and it was a bunch of people complaining about the stinky gamer boys. They were like, yo, new kids, do not go in there. It smells horrible. I think I'm going to go in there.
Should I talk about my first week?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I've been going since the 21st. It was really nice. I met all of my professors. I had to drop a class because one of the teachers just like casually said something extremely transphobic and I got scared.
Sad.
You could have fixed him.
It was a woman, so
You could have fixed her. No.
Ew, gross, no.
Hers can't get fixed. Hers kind of just are the way they are.
No, I'd have to get
Case in point, Demigloom.
I'd have to get the trans man from my church to do that, alright?
Aren't you like in love with this guy too?
I'm not in love with this guy.
Just like you weren't in love with Jason?
Shut
We have
up.
to cut this out.
No, we don't.
Yeah,
we talk
we
about this
do.
all the time. No.
Really? Jesus.
No, if Kathy wants to cut out, I'll cut it out.
I don't want to cut. He knows. He knows.
Yeah, Jason knows. Jason knows you're in love with him.
But
In fact, the only reason she's on here is because of nepotism.
Yeah, Jason hooked me up.
She's our owner's wife.
Whenever you call him our owner, it sounds like something else.
You mean like some slavery shit or some like BDSM shit?
A little bit of both.
Yeah, I guess they're not mutually exclusive. Far from that, actually.
But I'm sorry. There's this story I wanted to tell about my college, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
So, I was walking to one of my classes, and there was this big crowd of people, and somebody started speaking. They're all gathered around the speaker, and some of the things she was saying were horrible, horrible things. Mm-hmm. She was talking about the USSR, and how we must listen to Lenin. And I walk back the
Disgusting.
next day. I walk back the next day, and there's like a bunch of like communist posters all over, like part of one of the school buildings. Like, join the communist club, join the
communist club. I would infiltrate that so hard. I would infiltrate them and wait for them to say something anti-Semitic and get the club shut down.
Why do you think they're gonna say something anti-Semitic?
Because they're communists.
Well, it depends on the brand of communist.
Lenin people. Leninists.
Leninists, yeah, probably.
Pretty sure Lenin was a raging anti-Semite. I'm not sure. I know that a lot of people in the Russian Revolution were. I think we're ready to segue into the topic tonight, or at least what we're going to be talking about.
Jesus.
Yeah. Kathy, would you mind if I told the story of Kathy from my perspective, and then you told me what you want the viewers to know about you?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So, this is what I call the before times. This was before I met Riley, before I made podcasts, before I've been a content creator since I was like, 9? Technically 6. But before Demigloom as we know it was born, before Demigloom as we know her was an active internet property, at least outside of Twitter and Instagram, and wherever else I overshare details about my life. Not a whole lot has changed. It's just a voice instead of text now. But there was a podcast known as Largest Issue in the Galaxy. And I will spare our audience the story of the podcast that it is a parody of. But it is a parody of a podcast called Biggest Problem in the Universe, one of the greatest podcasts of all time, although I must say both hosts are morally questionable at best. I do not endorse the people who made Biggest Problem in the Universe, but I will say, huge inspiration to everything I've done podcast related. Felonious Ferris doesn't know it, but it's a huge inspiration to this show. But Biggest Problem in the Universe is one of the greatest podcasts of all time. And one of the worst podcasts of all time copied the formula verbatim. So much so that they literally used synonyms of every word for the title. It was called Largest Issue in the Galaxy. That show was hosted by Riley and Riley's friend Andrew, who is a member of the Issue Crew and a good friend of mine as well. The cover art for that podcast was made by Kathy. Kathy called into the show as a guest. I don't remember what episode, but fairly early, about as far into Largest Issue as we are into MSGSA right now, ironically. And Kathy was a communist.
Oh?
Who debated frequent guest Mo Diggity, another current member of the Issue Crew, about communism. Kathy accused Mo Diggity of being a libertarian Nazi and argued for communism and said communism was the coolest thing ever. Kathy also had a podcast with Riley where they did movie reviews, and she became a pretty frequent character in the Riley cinematic universe. However, one day, Kathy vanishes from the face of the earth. Kathy's gone. Allegedly, there was some ominous additions to her profile that led people such as Riley to believe that perhaps she was no longer with us in the literal sense. And for a very long time, I believe over a year and a half, Kathy was nowhere to be heard. It was a tragedy, to say the least. Now, I became a fan of the Largest Issue in the Galaxy podcast and ended up calling in as a guest on episode 39. And I think it was a little bit after I called in for the first time, I listened to the entire backlog and became very familiar with Kathy, at least as familiar as I could be, listening to that show. And I was a fan. I was a fan of Kathy. It almost felt like she was a member of my friend group because I had listened to 3 of my current podcast friends chat with Kathy fairly frequently, or at least a couple times. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I guess talking to a friend group and then listening to the friend group talk with another person almost makes you feel like that person is a part of your friend group, even though we've never spoken. I think that's probably the definition of parasocial, if we're being completely honest. But there was also a funny conspiracy theory that I was Kathy, because I was transgender, borderline communist, and was kind of the woke scold of the crew. I fulfilled a very similar, uncannily similar role in the friend group that Kathy did. And the Demigloom is Kathy conspiracy theory was kind of a running joke for a while. But other than that, there wasn't a whole lot to be said about Kathy. She was there, and one day she wasn't. And a long time after that, I became part of the picture, having fond memories of Kathy without having ever actually met her. And that was that. We talked about her. There was the occasional joke, the occasional rap lyric mentioning this death. And it was an interesting piece of Riley / issue crew, or at the time, Largest Issue in the Galaxy lore. Until the end of Largest Issue in the Galaxy, we received a comment from somebody saying, "Wow, it's crazy." I don't remember what the comment was. It was just something about the show coming to an end. But this commenter claims to have made the cover art. And we're like, wait a minute. Kathy made the cover art. But Kathy's dead. So he really had, I say we, I really mean Riley, kind of had a shock, was in a state of shock for a while. But eventually, Kathy reintroduces herself to the friend group, and I'm here, having been a parasocial fan for a long time, her having no idea who I am, and we start talking to each other. And to make this long story short, to wrap it up, me and Kathy are friends. We're both members of the same podcast, The Issue Crew. But we really, really disagree with each other on politics. I have debated her on my main channel. You can look up Demigloom on YouTube and go to the main channel. There's a video called Insane Debate on Non-Binary People. It is me arguing with Kathy. And I truly believe, to the bottom of my heart, that she holds opinions that are morally repulsive. I believe she advocates for disgusting things. And I'm not saying this as a joke. She does not believe in the validity of non-binary people. All of my friends are non-binary. And for that reason alone, a person would not even be willing to speak to her. But at the end of the day, I've gotten to know her. I enjoy speaking to her. And there's not a whole lot more to it. I think she's a human with human emotions. And if we're being honest with ourselves, she holds opinions that the majority of the human population does. And I've made a choice to break the personal boundary of associating and being friendly with somebody who is what I consider to be ignorant on human rights issues. And I'm saying this with 100% sincerity, and I'm trying not to be mean, but this is legitimately how I feel, and I'm friends with her in spite of it. I genuinely think she's an extremely intelligent person.
Do you have to go into detail about how horrible it's not that bad.
Hey, shut up. Shut up. I got good things to say now.
Okay.
I think she's extremely intelligent. I think she's extremely kind. And I think she truly believes in everything she says. I don't think she's dishonest. I don't think she's evil. I don't think anything she does is motivated by malice. I truly believe she is an intelligent and kind person who wants to spread good in this world and does everything in the name of good. And therefore, I can't just completely dehumanize her. And I'm not going to terminate my friendship with her, terminate my otherwise productive and positive relationship with somebody because I believe they hold horrible positions. This has been a pretty ongoing theme in my recent years. I've been associating with a lot more people who are politically diverse, to say it very generously.
I mean, you associate with Jason, who is 1,000 times worse than me.
Jason is significantly worse than you. I think Jason is a bad person. But we can still VC. We can still play Majora's Mask and chill.
I can fix him, Jimmy. Don't worry.
Not a morally wrong thing. I used to be very much a guilty by association person. I think as long as you are not enabling somebody's bad behavior, there's nothing wrong with being friends with somebody who, by your definition, could be a bad person or has bad opinions. I think a lot of good can come out of it. And I think completely shutting off large fractions of the population is completely reasonable as a personal boundary, but isn't something that you should force other people to do. What do you think, Felonious Ferris? You seem hesitant to nod your head.
I draw a line somewhere.
I draw the line at sex criminals.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna draw the line too. Because there's some people that just really, really, really need social consequences for their actions.
I absolutely believe people with horrible opinions need social consequences for their actions too. I just don't think that consequence has to be being completely cut off from every positive relationship you have with humanity, because I think that objectively has a horrible outcome.
Yes.
I think almost everybody deserves friends, and I think most people would agree with me, but they wouldn't go as far as to be that friend. And I don't think there's anything wrong with me being that friend. You know, I think everybody agrees that the world would be a better place if every transphobe had a trans friend. Hell, who knows what I would think about trans people if I never met trans people during my formative years. I think it's objectively a good thing for people to be surrounded by people who don't agree with them. And when people say agree, they say it goes beyond agreeing when it comes to human rights issues. And I agree. However, I don't think that no rules apply and people should be just completely stripped of all moral consideration. And I realize I'm talking about Kathy like she's some kind of serial killer in rehab right now. And for that, I apologize, but that is me succumbing to the woke mob and giving a million disclaimers for people that have their mouse hovering over that unsubscribe button.
Listen, let me state my opinions. All right. Jesus Christ is Lord is my main opinion, okay? That comes before everything. That comes before all things, all of my opinions.
Isn't that the foundation of all your opinions? Yes.
Number 2. Non-binary people are not valid.
That's the second commandment. Is non-binary people aren't valid.
Jesus's feet hit the sand, and as soon as he exited the womb, and he said, non-binary people aren't valid. Or no, first he said, I am the Son of God, I am the Lord, non-binary people aren't valid.
Yeah. You don't remember True Scum 8.5?
True Scum 8.5, shut up.
No. What? No, I'm not. Some people might consider me transphobic.
I consider you transphobic, if that wasn't clear.
Okay. How about you, Ferris?
Yes. I mean...
I think trans acceptance ought to extend to the trans community as a whole and not just specific people. I think your Trans acceptance is limited to a very specific and what I would consider to be a small fraction of the trans community.
I think that binary trans people with dysphoria are valid.
You're cutting off a large percent of the trans community now.
Because they aren't trans, at least in my opinion.
So why... I think I want to... If Felonious Ferris and Kathy are okay with this, I want to focus on non-binary people. This could be part 3 of the non-binary arc.
Mm-hmm.
And since Felonious Ferris is a non-binary person and they can account for their own personal experiences, I think a Kathy Felonious Ferris-led discussion is in need about non-binary people, because I truly believe Kathy has some comical misconceptions about the non-binary experience that Felonious Ferris could attempt to clear up.
I don't think I want to do this because I don't want to hurt their feelings.
You won't
Felonious
hurt my
Ferris
feelings.
has pretty tough skin.
I seek out spaces where people want to see me skinned alive for identifying as non-binary. You will not hurt my feelings.
I mean, I do too, but I do it in real life.
Yeah, Kathy dates like red-pilled Christian men.
Mm-hmm.
Like, unironically.
Unironically, I deserve to be skinned alive.
No. I mean, unironically, like, I don't know if there's something built into my brain, but I really am attracted to guys that, like, want to destroy and, like, maim and kill me.
I feel like this is a trauma response.
That's a problem. And admitting that is the first step.
This is not a trauma response. I just find like the Southern accent, gun-toting, Bible thumping, like bearded guy with a cowboy hat to be really attractive, and I'm not sure why.
So you find this archetype to be attractive, and people like that just happen to be transphobic, right? It's not the transphobia that you're attracted to.
It's not the transphobia, it's like the archetype.
You would prefer these men to be trans accepting, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not like the fixing process is necessary for the attraction.
No.
Okay.
I would much prefer them to not be transphobic, in fact.
So, do you want to talk about why you think non-binary people aren't valid?
Non-binary
and then get
people,
destroyed by Felonious Ferris.
Non-binary people are not valid because you cannot transition into something that does not exist. You cannot describe to me what a non-binary is.
Well, Felonious Ferris, do you want to describe what a non-binary is?
I simply do not feel comfortable in the box of female or male gender roles. So I choose to have my own box where I can have gender roles from each of the other boxes and some different ones. That's me.
Have you ever considered that you are just a trans man?
I actually have. I actually originally used he, him pronouns. And that felt kind of fun and exciting, like in the way that like a roleplay game is. I always play male characters in roleplay games, but it does not feel authentic. It feels like roleplay. The only real, like, where I don't feel like I'm role-playing and I'm not uncomfortable, the only time I've ever felt that is when I'm going by they, them pronouns.
Have you ever considered that you have a bit of misandry? Like internalized misandry.
I actually... Wait, misandry? Like hating men?
Yes.
I think that's something I mean, I'm not going to deny that I went through that phase. It's kind of common. I had just been surrounded by men who were all too insecure to do basic things like apologizing, or giving equal consideration to people with vaginas. But I came to realize pretty early on, I was like 14 when I got over this, that it's completely unfair to judge someone based off of characteristics that they cannot control, just the same way that it was unfair that they judged me based on the genitals that I have.
Okay, very well. I don't believe you were a trans man, for the record. I watched the latest episode, and I do not think that you are a trans man.
How would you describe them then?
Do you really want me?
Yeah,
I
we want
feel
honesty for this discussion. I assume Felonious Ferris agrees.
I'd feel uncomfortable doing that, but alright. I would describe Ferris as a transgender cis woman.
Uh-oh. Wah, wah. Okay, well, you should be ashamed for having that response because you're extremely wrong, and I can definitely vouch for that.
I actually... See, I think it does feel like roleplay using he, him pronouns, but it doesn't feel actively painful. But I will say, going by she, her pronouns, being perceived as female by those around me, all of these things, make me exceptionally uncomfortable, and it causes a fair amount of mental anguish when it really catches up to me. There was a time in my life where I believed life as a woman was not worth leading, and I was very suicidal for a while. It took me a long time to get over those feelings, and realizing that life as a woman is not the only option.
You seem nice, and I really don't want to say what I want to say. I don't want to make you hate me.
I'm not gonna hate you.
I feel like there are a lot of women that are uncomfortable with being women because of the toxic culture that has built up around hookup culture and hookups in general, and being a woman in general.
And it has nothing to do with social conservatism, traditional values, or religious expectations. None of that.
I actually...
Sorry, that was a personal attack. I should refrain from that.
I've never participated in hookup culture. I mean, I definitely am super extra disgusted when men see me as purely as a sexual object, because of the genitals I have. But that is not the reason that I would say causes my dysphoria. It's a number of things. It's really no problem. A number of things that are just really like so many things that it's difficult to describe.
Well, would it be alright if I asked you a set of questions to determine things about you?
Yes.
Would you say that you dislike your body?
Yes. The amount that I dislike it varies. I was kind of blessed with the autism symptom where I'm kind of constantly mildly dissociated. So I kind of feel like I'm always playing myself in a video game. So my body doesn't really feel like it's mine.
Which leads you to commit multiple car accidents, by the way. Just putting it out there. To let everyone know how awesome this is.
I should not be allowed to have a driver's license. It is not safe. Anyway, yeah, I feel like I'm playing myself in a video game. Nothing feels real. My body doesn't really feel like it's mine. It's only in moments where that kind of lapses, where I'm fully aware of the body that I have, the sex characteristics that I have, that identify me as assigned female at birth, where I really start to feel sickened, and have to wear a binder. Yeah, generally I'm able to skate by without too much anguish about it.
Yeah, can I say something that might be considered a bit controversial? If you do not hate your body every second of every day, if you don't hate every single pound of flesh and bone that is on your body, I do not think you are trans.
Then that would exclude everyone with the specific autism symptom that I have.
I've met plenty of autistic trans people.
This specific symptom that I have. It's a spectrum. There are lots of different symptoms, but it would mean that it just wasn't possible for me with this symptom. Even though not just my body, but the gender roles that I'm assigned are the major causes of my dysphoria.
Not sure if I believe that. For me, it's I have to live with a body that I actively despise every single fucking thing about it. Every single time. Every single waking hour. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I've always hated everything about it. And I can't just not feel it sometimes. Trust me, I wish I could just not feel it sometimes. I've wished that for like 16 years before I actually decided to do anything about it.
You know, something that I think where this might be coming from for you is you suffer greatly, and you feel that the label trans, like, just it describes how greatly you suffer, and anyone who doesn't suffer as greatly as you must not be trans. You resent the fact that people who do not suffer intensely and constantly, you don't want to be equated to them. You how should I say this? Almost, okay, this can sound kind of mean. I swear I don't mean it in a mean way, but it seems like a lot of transmedicalists and non-binary, well, not just non-binary exclusionists, but people who exclude people without intense dysphoria. It seems like they really, really want to be in a special club for people who suffer greatly, and resent people who do not suffer greatly.
I mean, that's just what being trans is. To
Suffering
be trans,
greatly?
yes. To be trans, you have to suffer. You were born into a body that you really shouldn't have been born into. And a person, I think it's some sort of issue. I'm not gonna go as far. It's not a mental illness or whatever. But it's definitely an abnormality, and something that you have to live with for the rest of your life.
Can I ask you a question, Kathy?
Yes.
Do you think this dysphoria is simply an innate characteristic that comes from biology?
Yes.
And is not socially developed, maintained, or enforced at all?
I would
Or
say
is there a
biology.
social element that, to a degree, influences the severity of someone's suffering?
I would say both, definitely. There's nothing close to being treated as a man. I hate being treated as a man. I despise being treated as a man. However,
See, I despise being treated as a woman, as a girl. That is something I'm able to kind of dissociate away the feelings of anguish about my body, but one thing that I can never escape, that will always feel like a slap in the face, is someone calling me she, someone expecting me to take on female gender roles, someone seeing me as a woman. It makes me sick to my stomach, honestly. And this is something that I cannot escape because I present as female and don't plan on medically transitioning. So it's not like I personally do not believe that someone needs to have dysphoria in order to be valid as a trans person, but the suffering is there for me. I'm not constantly anguishing over the way that my body looks.
Do you do anything to present non-feminine?
Yeah, I do. I steer clear of the women's section in clothing stores as much as I can. I was blessed with kind of narrow hips, so I can shop in the men's section for pants. Just about, yeah. I typically wear compression sports bras. Only when I'm feeling really bad do I wear binders, because that's kind of a temporary solution. It's not something that you're meant to be doing for your entire life, and isn't healthy to do for your entire life. I have considered, doing stuff like getting a packer. Just haven't done it yet.
No, fuck you packing motherfuckers, okay? Stop drawing attention to the bulge, okay? This is a cry for help from all trans women. Please.
Yeah, genuinely don't do that.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, personally.
I am not
I think
kidding.
it's fine. I don't think it threatens anything.
I absolutely do.
What? So are you going to tell people, guys with just huge cocks that naturally have a visible bulge, that they're a problem? Because to me, it's the same exact thing.
No. Hold on. If the guy's hot enough, it's
okay. Yeah, yeah. We can talk about something else.
But, I'm sorry. I feel bad for you.
They're not 2 years old. Okay, this is ableism.
This is not ableism. I just feel bad for them.
I shop in the men's section. I typically always wear baggy t-shirts to kind of cover up my form a little bit. But then there's other things about me, I have long hair, and that's because I don't really think that long hair should be attributed to being male or female, and I just think it's beautiful either way, and I like it. But that is objectively stuff that is, people are going to see me as more feminine because of it. I just have learned to stop giving so many shits.
So you allow people's perception of you to influence your decisions with how you present, but you also don't completely enslave yourself to the standards of other people, and you aren't going to completely rule out something that you personally are comfortable, presenting with, such as long hair, just because how other people are going to perceive that.
Yeah, and honestly, the baggy clothes are for me. That's just another kind of buffer between my brain and my body, so that I'm not always unhappy.
I mean, here's another thing. First of all, I know plenty of trans men who bind 24/7.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna really have major physiological ramifications.
Probably will. I get it, though.
Yeah.
It's not like I don't understand it, but
I have difficulty telling someone not to do that.
Yeah, I would too.
I don't. It could make them no longer eligible for top surgery. I don't want them to need to be permanently, loathing seeing themselves shirtless. And I don't want them to be in 24/7 pain because they've binded too much.
You make a
I
compelling
have no
argument.
issues telling people not to do that.
That's fair, but I'm not a trans man, and I wouldn't. I don't know. I guess I don't understand it as clearly as they do. Is what I'm saying.
I would be furious if a cis person were to lecture me about the health ramifications of things that I do for my gender presentation. Just putting that out there. But yeah, that's not to say I disagree with Felonious Ferris about the health ramifications. Personally, I'm ignorant. I don't understand what happens.
I don't either. But,
Part of the reason why I stopped binding was because of rib pain. It can permanently warp your rib cage. It can make you ineligible for top surgery.
What do you mean you stopped binding? You were playing Binding of Isaac like last week.
I was playing Binding of Isaac like an hour ago.
Oh, I love
Sorry,
that game.
I couldn't not make that joke. How come every terrible person I meet loves Binding of Isaac?
What?
It's always horrible people.
What?
Oh, you've done a lot of things, Kathy. Let's be honest.
But yeah, anyway, there's one of the reasons I stopped binding was because I was getting that intense rib pain, which is one of those signs that you're really overdoing it. But you can cause chronic pain, you can break your ribs doing it, absolutely. I've passed out before because of binding.
Oh my god.
That's awful.
Yeah, it's really bad. There's a reason why I don't do it every day anymore.
I have just for the record, I want to say with like True Scum and Transmet stuff, there's like a lot more trans men than there are trans women for some reason.
Gee, I wonder why.
No,
Why do you think so?
Know.
I genuinely don't know.
I don't know either, and I'm interested to hear your take on this.
Let's be honest with ourselves. To achieve a transmedicalist standard of manhood is a lot easier than to achieve a transmedicalist standard of womanhood for most people. I think it is
true.
I think
That
it is
is
more
not
I think
true.
I think it is more difficult to pass as a trans woman than as a trans woman for most people.
It's not about passing. That's not. It is about passing.
It's about the desire to pass, I guess.
I think people who pass gigapassoids, as we call them, sometimes get a little cocky, okay? No pun intended.
I don't even pass that well.
Apparently you do, given some things that you've told me that I'm not sure if you want to talk about.
Listen, are you talking about the date with the transphobic guy?
I'm talking about your many dates with transphobic
You're their
guys.
worst nightmare. You're making their worst nightmare come true, and I love that. I love that for you.
It is kind of funny to watch them freak out. Mm-hmm. I do have to admit, I do get some joy in that.
Can I give a hot take / some advice for trans people regarding passing?
No.
Mm-hmm.
You can seek advice from your loved ones, but do not let your loved ones be the end-all, be-all voice of whether or not you pass, because at the end of the day, your loved ones are compelled to make you feel better. And I think that sometimes crosses into a natural level of dishonesty. You know, every mother says their son is a handsome young man.
I think it's much better to ask people who love you than to ask. I see so many people who are like, for an objective opinion, I'm going to post myself on /poll and 4chan.
Yeah.
For an objective opinion.
That's another thing, is when you swing too far in the opposite direction, you find people that hate you. What I'm saying is, there do exist communities. I know there's a subreddit, r/transpassing, that is full of honest trans people that understand the value of honesty and how it will positively serve you.
Transphobes are going to infiltrate that eventually.
I'm sure they have at some point, and there's no such thing as a perfect place for full transparency, because at the end of the day, people are like, hi, should I kill myself because of my genetic characteristics or no? The answer is going to be no. But if you have specific questions, you have specific concerns about passing, go to r/transpassing, and I think you'll like what you find, and I think you'll find some good advice there. That's not to say anyone's advice or anyone's perception of you is more important than your own perception of yourself, because let's be honest, gender dysphoria is a battle against your own thoughts more than it is a battle against other people's thoughts. After all, the reason it's a battle against other people's thoughts is because how those thoughts affect you. It all circles back to yourself. It's all about loving yourself. And if you really feel like passing is a necessary step to loving yourself, or a necessary goal in the pursuit of self-love, I strongly recommend finding a genuinely unbiased review. Listen, I love Felonious Ferris to death. I'm never going to ask them for advice on passing because I think they're more inclined to convince me not to commit suicide than they are to genuinely give me an honest opinion on whether or not I pass. I don't know if they would be honest or not. And because of that, I seek perhaps an anonymous or unbiased perspective, someone who's not invested in me.
Why don't you ever ask for advice for, I don't know, passing trans people?
You mean from trans people who pass?
Yeah.
Well, the subreddit I mentioned is full of them. I know there are Discord servers and other online communities. Personally, like IRL?
No. I'm talking about like a particular, trans person you may or may not be friends with who's a very traditional Catholic.
I would ask you for passing advice if I had any hope of passing ever. But me personally, I think I've pretty much moved the goal. I've moved the goalpost. I've moved the goalpost from passing to something a little bit more realistic. Let's be honest, this is not the voice of a woman. Let's be honest, I do not have the proportions of a woman.
You don't do voice training, though.
I shouldn't have to.
No idea.
Demi, my voice is not the voice of a woman. My voice passes about as well as yours. I still get gendered female in public all the time.
You keep on going back and forth between being like super confident in passing and super unconfident. I think you have like imposter syndrome and insecurity, but I think deep down inside, you know that when people lay their eyes upon you, they know to treat you with the expectations of a woman. Me, not even remotely close to the case. At best, I am a they, he, she, they, how do I not offend you? I'm somebody you have to worry about offending. That's as close to a woman as I'm going to get. At least anytime soon, okay? I don't know if I am...
Actually, commit yourself to regular voice training, you dumb, stupid head.
You stupid fucking idiot.
First of all, you scumbag imposing transmedical standards onto me, even though voice training isn't technically a medical process.
I'm gonna bully you until you believe you can pass.
I just don't see it. I'm not saying it's impossible. I mean, I am taking hormones and seeing virtually no results, by the way. But
you've only
literally
God.
like a month. Literally
you just
like
got
month.
on them.
I've been on them for over 3 months, for your information, and I am not seeing the results you're supposed to expect in 3 months. However, I am not...
Do you know how long it took me to grow boobs?
Shut the fuck up.
It took me years.
Shut the hell up.
Years.
Wait,
show me a picture of your mom's tits.
Demi, it takes like... I don't know.
I know. I'm not giving up. I'm just saying that there are certain results you're supposed to expect in a 3-month time period, and I'm not seeing them. I'm probably going to up my dose. I'm not saying I'm giving up on hormones. Just saying that I'm currently a little bit disappointed with my timeline, okay?
Speaking of gender affirming care, I think I've come to like a realization.
Yeah.
I think like all men should just be given steroids.
Kathy, stop being horny on this podcast.
I'm not being... What?
It's the only possible motivation for some of these obscene comments you're making.
I do not understand.
I think
Where
you
you
understand
got-
a little too well.
You know, who needs legalizing anabolic steroids? Let's put them in the water supply.
Yes. mandatory like workout hour.
God, I wonder why my father doesn't love me.
Also, like all women should be given a free husband.
No, that's white slavery, or I guess I wouldn't call that black slavery. That seems like it refers to something else.
God, you're just the opposite of the guy that I was talking to the other day who said all clinically insane abusive men deserve women falling into their lap.
Listen, I deserve a big, strong man to hold me in his arms and tell me everything's gonna be all right.
You'll find him, okay? Just be patient. Kathy's like legitimately like depressed that she's not married at age 19. It's getting ridiculous.
Genuinely, though, like I am. I want to get married.
When do you think marriage should happen?
I think 18 to 25.
Like how long into a relationship do you think the question should be asked?
1 to 2 years.
1 to 2 years? Oh my god, it's insane.
Here's
I thought
the
you said
thing.
like 4 to 6 months.
What? No, that's insane.
Okay.
Here's the thing, though. Do you want to get into the tradcaf stuff?
I don't want to stray too far away from non-binary stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think this is going pretty well. I think we should have you on again. Excuse me, I have the hiccups again. I always get the hiccups when I do podcasts. I don't know why. But yeah, I think we should have you on again. I think we could expand the scope of this conversation in another episode.
Ferris, what do you think of me?
I think that you're a good person. I think that
Cancelled.
general-
Jover.
my general impression is that you have some underlying resentment for people who don't suffer as much as you and don't want your suffering to be equated to them in the form of sharing the same label of trans. You want your suffering to be known to all, and you want that sympathy to be given to you when you say I'm trans. But
No. I don't want people to know I'm trans. Ever. At all.
Okay, but in a nuanced conversation about your demographic identity, that's the implication you want the word trans to hold, right?
Yes.
You want to, okay. How do you feel about trans people who are like gigapassoids who get the surgery, get a million cosmetic surgeries, pass perfectly as female, and are finally happy with themselves? Is that person not suffering enough for you to call them trans? Are they just a cis woman at that point?
Unironically, yes, they're just a cis woman.
Do you realize how mind-numbingly stupid this sounds?
I mean, no. If it's a trans woman, then yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to call them a cis woman now.
But you realize that clashes with the empirical reality. Oh, I'm going to sound like fucking Ben Shapiro. Like
biologically male.
Yeah, I hate to bring up stuff like you cannot change what chromosomes you have. Stuff like that.
We're going to get
Like
quoted out of
if
context.
if you theoretically could, even then you've gone through all of this shit just to pass as this opposite sex.
Breaking news, Felonious Ferris and Demigloom invite trans medicalist onto podcast, lectures their audience about how you can't change your chromosomes. We really did leave the left. We're joining Anna Kasparian. We're coming for you.
This is how I felt when you made me debate you on neopronouns.
Okay, clearly there's still some resentment about that. Like, I thought we were cool, but you keep bringing it up.
I'm still a little salty, and I
Are you mad-
reserve the right.
are
I
you mad
reserve
at
the
me?
right to make you feel bad about it every once
Hold
in a
on,
while.
hold on. I can moderate this. Which one of you is willing to suck up more to me? Right?
Obviously me.
Okay, I'm awarding the win to Ferris. They are the victor.
Oh, wow, okay. Okay, Felonious Ferris, do you want my current and final thoughts on that whole situation? Just really quickly. Okay. I think you made conservative arguments. I don't think you are conservative, and I don't think you're a trans medicalist, but I think you navigated the topic in a similar way to that of how a conservative navigates the topic of non-binary people. Some of the things you said were virtually identical. Hey, shut the fuck up. Let me finish.
No.
I have like a million buts.
Okay.
Hey, don't yell at them.
I think you made conservative arguments. However, I don't think it's reflective of you. I don't think it's reflective of what you believe in. I don't think it's reflective of how you navigate this topic in your head. I think you weren't prepared for a debate, and I jump scared you with a debate, and it's all my fault. That's what I think.
Here's a really fucking hot take. I do not think that the logic behind said conservative arguments is completely nonsense. I think that there is some logic behind it. It's just that they don't have the worldview that gender is a social construct and that transition is necessary for trans people to continue living. I don't think that those arguments are just completely pulled out of thin air out of people's asses. Those are there is logic behind them.
I agree.
And that
I just
logic,
disagree with it.
That
personally.
logic suddenly makes a lot more sense when someone is saying that they don't identify as a human being. I'm still a person, a human person, just even though I'm non-binary.
Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree with anything you've said, except for the very opinion you expressed that our logic and acceptance doesn't extend towards crazy cat gender people. I think it does, and you think it doesn't, and I think that's fine that we disagree on that. I don't think it makes you a bad person, and I still agree with almost literally everything that you believe in, and I don't think that this one minor disagreement should be a source of conflict for us.
Yes, I'm not actually angry at you.
I think you, again, my final thoughts are, I think you argued poorly, but you weren't innocent. I didn't create an environment where that was possible, so it's my fault. That's my take. I think I jump scared you with a debate you weren't prepared for, and obviously you weren't prepared for a debate. You didn't debate as well as I would expect you to. I think if we were to rematch, God forbid, you would navigate the topic much better. You would do a much better job.
Could I interject because I watched it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I do feel like 90% of Ferris's arguments could apply to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I
think most of my argument was just that your interests, your hyperfixations don't define your gender, that your gender is a separate thing. And my interests definitely do not define why I'm non-binary. I mean, all sorts of the ways that I interact with the world, the way I interact with other people, the clothes that I wear, what makes me feel most comfortable in my body in public. That's why I'm non-binary. It's not just I really like cats. Kathy, I really like cats. That is not my gender. That is a single isolated interest of mine.
I mean, no. I get it. I really like men. That is.
Oh my God.
Not my gender.
Stop, Kathy. Do you need to take a 15-minute personal break and, clear your thoughts?
I'm completely clear in mind.
Okay. Please continue and stop talking about the kind of men that you want.
Listen, it's been like months and since the man has like looked at me. Man, that sounds sad when I say it out loud. But what was the thing about the frog?
Oh my god, can we not bring back this? The whole point was that I wanted to not talk about this.
You think that true scum only exists because of extremely dysphoric people not wanting it to be associated with non-dysphoric people?
Yeah, I actually, when I was in the peak of my dysphoria, I went through a little true scum phase where I thought that you didn't need to have dysphoria in order to be trans. But looking back on it, now that I've gotten a better handle on my mental state, it was absolutely just because I wanted to be in a special group of people who suffered greatly and didn't want the people who suffer less to be associated with my great suffering.
Here's the thing. It's not just that like I'm a true scum. It's become more than me just being true scum.
Mm.
I have personal religious beliefs that conflict with the idea of there being more than two genders.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that.
And I assume you're not like a theology expert.
I wouldn't consider myself an expert. I do kind of casually study different religions.
Do you know anything about Catholicism and the
Yes.
Do you know anything about the Catechism?
No, not off the top of my head.
Catechism of the Catholic Church is a document that all Catholics are supposed to follow. Basically, in it directly states that there are two genders. If I believe that there is more than two genders, it would be strict heresy. I cannot go against the words of the Catechism.
But those weren't the words of God or Jesus Christ, isn't it?
They weren't, but the Catechism is also infallible. You see, the Catechism is made by the Catechism has very strict rules, and it's supposed to basically be God working through the church.
I see, at this point, I don't want to, because I genuinely believe that everyone has the right to practice their religions without being questioned, without having those religions be picked apart. But
I don't want to ban non-binary people or anything like that.
Yeah, there just isn't really a place for me to go here without debasing your religion, which I'm not sure I'm okay with.
I think it would be interesting to talk to like a non-binary Christian about this.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously you really don't have anything to say.
Good luck coming across that. Oh my god. How many non-binary Christians are there?
Like maybe two.
Yeah, probably.
Granted, how many like trans women are there?
A lot. Probably many.
No way.
How many? I was gonna make a sinful joke.
Say it.
How many? Okay, Kathy. How many nuns do you think are packing down there?
Genuinely, maybe a few. Maybe 15.
I don't know, man. Trans people are a much larger, maybe not a larger percentage of the population than documented, but it's larger than you think. It's larger than what you picture, and they're not all the typical. I think there's a large number of trans people that we usually fail to account for that are not members of the LGBTQ plus community, not out and proud, but rather people, I hate to say it like this, but hiding in plain sight, people perfectly integrated into cisgendered society. That's what happens to the majority of straight trans women who don't find, don't exhibit a lot of gender queerness once they pass.
So, like, people like me.
Exactly people like you. They are among us.
I'm not genderqueer. Like, I am the most gender-conforming person.
Yeah, you're not. I don't think I would call you genderqueer. I mean, some people would say all trans people are genderqueer.
No.
That's bullshit.
Yeah,
no,
I don't think
and
that's
I don't want to
case.
be considered that.
I think I'm genderqueer, whether I like it or not. I think it is a label that can be involuntarily applicable to somebody.
You don't think that the label gay should be involuntarily applied to people? And you think genderqueer, that's fair?
No, okay, so I guess I should be more clear. I don't impose this standard on other people, but I think it's an observation somebody can make about themselves and their identity despite not wanting to exhibit it.
Okay.
Personally, I'm fine with exhibiting genderqueerness, although I do not like the fact... I don't know. Do you ever relate to the idea of not necessarily having a problem with something, but not liking it being forced upon you?
Yes.
For cis listeners, picture when you're about to clean your room just because you want to feel better, and your mom tells you to clean your room, and you don't want to clean your room anymore. That's basically how
pathological
genderqueerness
demand
works.
avoidance. That is the psychology term for it.
Well, hold on, no,
Shut up.
I have a much better analogy for this. Cis viewers, imagine like somebody assumed you were a trans person.
I feel like most cis people would have a problem with being treated as a trans person, though.
Exactly, that's what
Mainly-
I'm saying.
Yeah, but like I don't like with what I'm saying is I don't think it's innately bad. It's only bad when people like try to force it upon me. First of all, I think your average cis person is extremely transphobic, whether they say it or not. I think we've successfully guilt tripped our population into pretending to give a shit about us, but I do not believe that the majority of people are genuinely effective trans allies. That's probably an extremely hot take, but I don't care. Clip this, post it everywhere.
Genuinely, I think I could go in the middle of my church and tell people I'm trans, and I do not think anybody would care.
I think they would absolutely care. It's to the degree that they would care. I think also though for people, I think your average person is probably somewhat trans accepting on this trans accepting spectrum, but I think your average person probably thinks they them pronouns are bullshit. They probably think that someone like me isn't trying hard enough or that I'm not really a woman. I think they have standards of womanhood, manhood, and androgyny, if they even consider the fact that androgyny exists, that are ridiculously high and cruel to the majority of trans people. And is for that reason that I say that trans acceptance is pretty BS. I think a lot of it is a front. I think most people are extremely fucking transphobic.
I'm sorry. I'm having such a moment of being conflicted right now because Kathy, you saying that you're not allowed to believe non-binary people are valid because of Catholicism is bringing up so much stuff in my head.
This is why debating religious people is difficult for somebody who doesn't believe in religion.
Like,
Because
I really believe that you are well within your rights to be Catholic, and I support you in that, and I don't think that it is okay for atheists to go around debunking other people's religions. I think that's some
completely
fucking
fine.
bullshit
I think
behavior.
it's perfectly fine to debunk somebody's religion. It's not okay to approach somebody of that religion and be like, hey, fuck you. This is why everything's wrong. I think it's personal. I think it's because I think people are allowed to discuss empirical reality no matter what. Just as I think a Catholic is allowed to argue in favor of the existence of God, I think an atheist is perfectly within his, her, or their, or its, or cat's right to argue in favor of the the non-existence, the absence of God. I think that's completely reasonable. I do not think it is reasonable to be unreasonably, or I guess generally confrontational towards people of different beliefs. That's where the problem lies.
But I feel like such an asshole, though. And I
But
really...
at the end of the day, empirical reality needs to be discussed. And people who believe in things shouldn't just not explain why. That's literally like the foundation of performative activism. I think dogmatic atheism that refuses to justify itself to its people is just as toxic as someone like me believes religious institutions to be.
So about like the majority of people being incredibly transphobic.
I think we have different definitions of transphobia, but go on.
I think it's not that the majority of people are transphobic. I think that the majority of people are transphobic to people who don't pass.
I consider that to be transphobic. I feel like if your trans acceptance is limited to a small group of trans people or a group of trans people, then you're still exhibiting transphobia.
Yeah, I absolutely do too.
Just as people who are misogynistic, but they don't hate women. They're completely fine with their not beating the living shit out of their trad wife who is their fucking slave. Like, it's like, okay, well, you have an acceptance for this group of people who exhibit this set of characteristics or ideas or succumb to your authority, which is really what trans acceptance is. You're asking them to succumb to your authority on what a woman is or what a man is. You're asking them to follow your rules. I consider that to be an act of discrimination that affects the majority of the trans community, because let's face it, we're not all passoids.
Yeah, here's the thing though. Like, I think the majority of you're right. The majority of people probably are transphobic. And maybe that's why I'm a bit different. Because I do have passing privilege, which is a thing that does exist.
A thing which I'm not bitter towards, by the way.
I never said
not
you
gonna
were.
go now. Yeah. I'm just making it clear.
Yeah, I never said you were. But as somebody with passing privilege, I think that I don't think the majority of cis people would be angry at me if they knew I was trans.
I think it's probably around 50-50, if I'm being completely honest with myself.
Like, I don't think, like, the average liberal suburban mom is gonna, like, flip her lid if she knew I was trans.
No, I think the average suburban mom wouldn't want me around their children. Suburban liberal mom, might I add.
The average suburban dad, though.
What's that supposed to mean?
It means that there are a lot more really openly and aggressively transphobic men than there are openly and aggressively transphobic women.
I'm not so sure about that.
I think the majority...
It's definitely something that I think transphobic women are... I think in general, women are socialized to be more timid in expressing strong opinions. And I think that might cause more women to hide the fact that they're transphobic. But men are socialized to say whatever the fuck comes across their minds.
Men are taught that it's their job to have opinions, that they dictate the conversation.
Yeah.
So they're naturally going to be more outspoken internally and externally about this sort of thing. You want to know my honest to God, if we were to average out the average person's opinion on trans people, and this is a rough estimate, and obviously...
In the United States?
In the United States, yeah. And remember, we have entire states full of people that hate all trans people and entire states that are mostly trans accepting. So it's difficult to perfectly average it out. But I'd say it in the United States, your typical person... I once saw a Twitter poll that said, are trans women women? The responses were yes, no, and no, but I play along. And this was a very specific audience that was following this Twitter account. So I will I'm not saying this is how the majority of people feel, but there was an insane amount of people who said, no, but I play along. And I think the idea that acceptance is is socially necessary, and that trans women need to be treated as women, and this goes for all trans people. I'm just speaking about my own group of people because that's who I have the most experience with. I think that people understand and agree with the need to affirm trans identity, but I don't think most people believe that it's real. I think when people call me she, they roll their eyes oftentimes. I know, because I've, been in the workplace, I know people will call me she to my face and call me he to other people. They'll call me she, like, she, I guess. But like the moment I'm not in the room, it's like, okay, but like seriously, he. Like, yeah, he was this, he was that. And I think that's the sentiment shared by an overwhelming majority of people. And I also think the majority of people, maybe not the majority of people, but I also think a lot of people think that the quote unquote grooming is getting a bit much. The gender wokeness, when teachers tell students that, trans people shouldn't all commit suicide. People think that's going a little too far. And I think a lot of this has to do with propaganda, and a lot of people are very uninformed about the reality of trans people, and they're basing their opinions off of false pretenses. But yeah, that's my opinion on the average person.
Genuinely, though, they should leave the children alone.
Trans people?
Yeah.
What do you mean by we should leave the children alone?
I don't feel comfortable with hormone blockers, or nobody feels comfortable giving surgeries to a 13-year-old.
Yeah, I agree.
Puberty blockers
are completely reversible, and their outrage is completely manufactured and based in lies.
I'm not so sure I believe in that.
I mean, there are potential side effects of puberty blockers, but those side effects are really carefully mitigated. And it is true that we lack long-term data, but we lack long-term data for all sorts of things, and there's no outrage about that.
Yeah, there are no red flags about. There's no particular warranted suspicion around puberty blockers that doesn't extend to almost all modern medicine. The specific outrage is ridiculous. The effects are reversible. What is not reversible is hormones. And when you take puberty blockers and then go on hormones, the effects of puberty, there are material changes to your body that are going to be unique to people who went on puberty blockers and then hormones. But the entire point of puberty blockers is that there is no commitment to permanent change until you make the step to hormones. And we are giving people time to make the decision whether or not they want to get on hormones by giving them, time.
One thing that's also really important to consider is that the kids who go on puberty blockers, it's usually because they've expressed being suicidal because of their sex assigned at birth already. Some of them have already attempted suicide. I've heard stories about kids jumping out of moving cars saying, I don't want to be a boy anymore. Stuff like that. And that puberty blockers are also a way to just help ease those symptoms for a while, help ensure that those symptoms aren't going to get worse.
I mean, I dealt with it for 16 years. I tried to kill myself multiple times. I didn't understand why. I do now, but I'm just not sure it's right.
I think that commitment to being on puberty blockers and blocking a puberty is just as much a choice and commitment as going through the puberty that you were assigned at birth. And I would argue that going through the puberty that you were assigned at birth as somebody questioning their gender identity is more likely to lead to very, 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 very horrible outcomes. And I think the risk of forcing someone to go through their assigned at birth puberty who is questioning or pretty certain of their gender identity and how it conflicts with their sex assigned at birth, I think forcing them to go through that puberty is much more dangerous and risky for their long-term well-being and current well-being than blocking said puberty until they're old enough and have enough experience to make the decision on which puberty they want to go through, and then allowing them at an older age to actually make commitment to permanent changes. I think it's a trolley problem, and I'm leaning more towards the side of letting kids get on puberty blockers. I used to be more hesitant to say that. There are old podcasts of me saying, yeah, I don't know how I feel about puberty blockers, but that's how I feel, having met a lot of people who've been on puberty blockers, having done a bit of research myself. I've spoken to people in the field. It seems overwhelmingly to be the medical consensus that there is no like discernible risk that is not applicable to all fucking modern medicine.
And I think it's also, I mean, Kathy, you say that my dysphoria isn't severe enough for you to consider me trans. There are some people whose dysphoria is so severe that even after medically transitioning as adults, they never reach a point of being happy with themselves, and that their suicide is inevitable because of that.
Hey, that's me.
It's not you.
And their lives could be saved by not being forced to go through puberty that they...
Think of how many young women are going to be affected by this and aren't going to be able to have children.
You aren't sterilized by puberty blockers. This isn't... It is not true. You go through puberty later and you are fine. You might be if you go on puberty blockers and then you go on hormones. Then
yeah, that applies.
Then
that
your
applies
sex characteristics
hormones.
will not develop. It's hormones. It's not puberty blockers. That's just something that people say that isn't actually true. And why just young women? I'm confused.
Listen, there's a lot more young women who are trans than... There's a lot more young trans men than there are trans women, and trans men are
I wonder
really...
why that is. Same question I asked earlier.
Trans men are really angry about that.
Are they? I haven't met a trans man who was really...
Trans men, well, you're not in, like, true scum spaces, are you?
No.
Trans men consider it, like, the new generation of trans men. At least those who are, like, slightly younger to them than to be trenders, and to be honest, like 75% of them are.
Yeah, and again, when you create a definition of trender, that's just like, yeah, you don't suffer as enough as me.
No.
Suffer enough as me.
It's literally just, like, people who refuse to even make a slight effort to pass.
Okay, why is that any of my fucking business?
You don't think that makes us look bad?
Okay, you want to know? Okay, I have a really hot take. Very hot take.
Mm-hmm.
There are things about the trans movement that unironically are not wrong. They're not bad things, but they do make us look bad for a potentially otherwise accepting cis audience. I certainly have relatives who were very accepting, pretty accepting of my trans identity. And when I tell them some of the ridiculous non-binary names that my friends, I say ridiculous playfully. I love non-binary names and have no problem with them. So when I tell them some of the silly non-binary names and pronouns that people use, people who insist on being called they, or people who go by it, or people, when I tell them about this sort of thing, hey, shut up. I have an actual point. That that led people to question the validity of my identity, that led them to think it was more silly. But it is not fair of me as a trans woman to go tell otherwise perfectly innocent people who are exhibiting perfectly fine gender identity that is valid and does not conflict with any kind of empirical reality, nor is it actually destructive. It's not my place to tell those people they can't live their lives just as they can't live their true selves just as I'm trying to live their true self because of how my fucking grandma feels about them. It's just immature. It would be so immature of me to say, well, it's either me or you, so fuck non-binary people.
That's
I want
because
to.
it's ridiculous. Really,
Gay people used to be a common thing where they were like, oh, well, you know, I have trans friends and I personally don't have any issues with trans people, but having them in our community just makes us look bad. It's just gonna set back our movement. You can always apply it to people.
And there was a certain like observable reality that was based in. You know, people around them being otherwise accepting of gay people until trans people showed up. That is a real thing, but that does not give anybody a right to tell trans people they can't live their true lives, be themselves, and I don't know, pursue fucking happiness, pursue the furthest thing from constant suicidality as possible, because that's the best we can get. It's not even remotely acceptable, nor am I sympathetic to the idea that we can just completely exclude these people from our acceptance movements just because some fucking grandmas are gonna not, because some grandmas would be more easily persuaded if we left them behind. We don't leave valid, good, and worthy people behind because other people, because it's gonna help advance ourselves. We take the whole fucking pack with us.
They're not good, and they're not worthy. If they make no effort to pass, they still look like cis. They still have cis privilege because nobody thinks that they're trans.
Kathy, do you not think that I have cis privilege?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Because you suffer. You suffer
because
constantly.
You don't think that when I navigate the world, a world that emphasizes the importance of things like gender, as someone indistinguishable to the average person from a cis man, I am a cis man with a stupid fucking haircut to the average person who lays their eyes upon me. That's what I am. That's the closest to a fucking woman anyone's analysis is gonna get me. I don't even want to know what the average person actually thinks about me. I'm being fucking generous. You don't think that makes life a little easier for me than a cis woman, say?
No.
No, not at all. Why?
No.
Why? Because I'm suffering internally?
Because you have dysphoria, yeah.
So because I'm suffering internally, people's perception of me, which is overwhelmingly...
Intersectionality.
Yeah, these things don't just cancel each other out.
I have white privilege. But that doesn't mean that I'm not suffering and don't have a hard life because I'm autistic and have gender dysphoria diagnosed.
Demi, do you genuinely think the average cis woman has a life harder than you? Because if you do, you're completely stupid.
No, I don't. I don't think the average person of most huge demographics like that are living worse lives than me. I think I do, and I don't want to throw fucking pity party, but I do think I suffer a pretty considerable amount. I think I experience levels of depression and suicidality that your average person will never experience in their life for a split second.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean I can't have cis male privilege, because I absolutely do, and I know Felonious Ferris will agree with me on this one.
Unbelievably stupid.
And I absolutely have cis male privilege. Just because you are suffering does not mean you don't have privilege in certain areas, in certain contexts, under certain pretenses.
I have the privilege of when I get stopped by a police officer for speeding, they aren't going to instantly see me as a threat and be on edge. So I'm far less likely to be shot than someone who is assigned male at birth or someone who is assigned male at birth and a person of color. That doesn't mean that I don't have a lot of factors in my life that cause a lot of suffering. I'm autistic and people hate me because of it. Obviously I'm non-binary. I have physical disabilities that cause constant physical pain. I can acknowledge that I have this privilege where cops aren't going to instantly want to murder me. But I have in other ways serious problems that cause a lot of suffering.
I mean, I get that. I have, like, daughter of a high-ranking police officer privilege. So,
Holy shit, it's Gwen Stacy.
no, I have a good relationship with my dad. Hold on. Gwen Stacy is a trans man in the new Spider-Man movie.
She's not trans man.
Does she go on a rant about the non-binary hordes?
I think that scene got cut
Non-binary
out.
hordes. But Kathy, kind of bringing it back, it seems like at your core, you are unwilling to listen to arguments about the validity of non-binary identity simply because your religion says that non-binary people cannot exist.
If you could convince me that my religion could accept non-binary people, I would be open to hearing it.
I mean, I haven't read this text that you're talking about. Does it explicitly forbid people who, I mean, how does it feel about intersex people?
I'm not really sure about the specifics.
Because as far as I'm aware, intersex people are mentioned nowhere in any Christian text. It's mentioned in Islam and Judaism, but not Christianity anywhere, which is insane because it's like 1% of the population. That's a lot of people.
I mean, I assume the Catholic, I do know that the Catholic Church itself rejects the term intersex.
Oh?
It does believe that they were supposed to be born either male or female, I think is the consensus with Catholic scholars.
Isn't that acknowledging that God can make mistakes then?
No, not at all.
So they were supposed to be born as male or female. It's
acknowledging that things can get messed up during the birthing process, which is, of course, is something that everybody knows since there are babies that are born wrong every year and have to have emergency services performed on them.
But it's the way that they form in the womb. It's not the birthing process that causes people to be intersex.
But that is a part of the birthing process, literally.
So, okay. What? Because this is just a chromosomal thing, generally. It is just someone's genetic code that causes them to be intersex. That has nothing to do with the birthing process. And even then, if God is all-powerful and omnipotent, and intersex people aren't supposed to exist, God would just not allow that to happen, right? I don't know. None of this shit makes sense to me.
It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that, no.
I see.
God allows way worse things than intersex people to exist.
Oh, obviously.
On this earth.
Obviously.
And he does it because we have a free will.
No one. Okay. I really do not want to start debasing your religion in an argument.
You should go to church.
No.
I tried.
Yeah. Yeah, even though my mother is Christian, I was such a hell child that just like so much ADHD that I never would have been able to sit still and not terrorize everyone in church. So I've never really been to church. Except for when there was one church event that I went to, and then I was baptized at my stepfather's church in a Catholic church.
Were you an adult or a child?
I was a kid. I heard that my little sister was getting baptized, and I had no idea what it meant, but I was like, since my little sister's doing it, I want to do it with her. I think I was 5 or something at the time. She was baptized as an infant.
I haven't even been baptized yet. I'm going through the rite of Christian initiation for adults, which means I have to do a bit of work on scripture reading and such before I can be baptized. Demi, what do you think about baptism?
I don't know, man. I don't care. I have problems with things religions do. I don't have inherent problems with the existence of religion. I'm sure... I'm fucking tired, man. I don't know.
It is getting kind of late. Do we want to wrap this up?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything else you want to chat about before we end it?
I'd like to encourage everybody listening to this. Please go to your local church at least once.
Only Catholic churches, though.
No. As long as it's like not a Mormon or a Jehovah's Witness or a Christian Science church.
For realsies?
I would genuinely encourage, please go to your local church at least once. Just try it out. It's only an hour on Sunday morning. Please just try it.
I would not discourage people from trying church.
Yeah, that's fine. I honestly think it's something that I plan on doing at least once, just because I have an interest in understanding other people.
We should go to church together and then do church reviews. All right, if you enjoyed the show, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel or follow the podcast feed. There is a comment section available on YouTube and on Spotify. If you would like to share your thoughts with us, please do. And if you'd like to leave a voicemail on the show, leave it at 608-218-4398. And also, last but not least, check out our official website, which is linked in the description. And I got yelled at for not reading the URL. And I will read the URL out loud right now, as soon as I pull it up. It's middleschoolgsa.wixsite.com/msgsa. Little bit of a mouthful, but it's in the description. Go click on that. We have cool shit on there. We have catalog. We have contact information. We have about information. There's cool shit. Go check it out. Just for fun. Anyways, I'm Demigloom. You can find me on YouTube. I did a debate with Kathy, which you should go listen to on my YouTube channel called Demigloom. And I also have a couple short political video essays that are slightly funny, if you're into that sort of thing. And then...
won.
Huh?
I wanted to say that, don't watch that debate.
Shut up. Go listen to it. And yeah. And I'm also at Demigloom on Twitter, Instagram, and other places. Go look up at Demigloom. You'll probably find me. Oh, join the Middle School GSA Discord server linked in the description. That as well. Come chat with us. Come be a part of the community. Be a part of the GSA. Anyways, Felonious Ferris, where can others just find you?
Social media platforms that I don't go on. Yeah. Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube. I have accounts there. I don't really look at said accounts, but if you DM me on Twitter, I might see it within a few weeks.
They're in the MSGSA server, and sometimes they respond.
Every once in a while, when I get a notification and I read it and it's something interesting, I respond to it.
Interesting is a generous description of the things you've responded to.
Listen, I don't choose what makes my brain
Speaking of things you responded to, free speech is good, right?
Free speech is good.
Yeah, we don't have to
I
elaborate.
do like free speech.
We don't have to elaborate. Freedom of speech is good. People who disagree are kind of tyrannical. Not gonna lie. Any attempts to reduce my freedom of speech that does not obviously have an immediate threat or danger, it will be met with resistance. I don't care if I sound like a libertarian when I say that, it's true. But yeah, Kathy, where can our listeners find you?
They can find me praying for their immortal souls.
Fair enough. Is there any, do you want to plug the Bible?
Yes, please read the Bible, New International Version. I actually just picked up a physical copy today. I'm gonna be one of those people who carries it around with them at all times.
All right.
Or learn Hebrew and actually read it as it was originally written.
I'm actually learning Latin right now, and I'm hoping eventually I might be able to read the Bible in Latin.
Why not Hebrew? That's the real OG version.
Because Latin was the one used by the Roman Catholic Church for so long.
Oh, Kathy.
What?
Because then you're just opening yourself up to human beings warping translations for their own personal gains.
Invici undas vitus.
Was that a slur? Do I need to cut that out?
No, it means nothing. I just said something that sounded vaguely Latin. It does not mean anything.
Yeah, that's it. Goodbye, everyone.
I love you.